We're also watching Wall Street. The closing bell rang just moments ago. The Dow landed in the green. CBS News MoneyWatch correspondent Kelly O'Grady joins us live now. Hi, Kelly. So walk us through the U.S. economy, where it stands 100 days into Trump's second term.
So look, I think the way to think about this is the hard economic data is still solid. So inflation is coming down, right? He inherited an environment that was 3% when it comes to the consumer price index. It's down to 2.4%. The labor market has also remained solid. It's the soft data and also investor sentiment, the stock markets, that are really showing the concern about what could be coming from these tariffs. And so I, highlight the stock market because we've been on quite a roller coaster. You and I always talking at 4 p.m. It's kind of, where is it going to end? And from when the president took office to yesterday, because the market just closed, these numbers might be a little bit different, but the Dow had lost roughly 7%, the S&P 500 had lost 7%, and the NASDAQ had lost over 11% since he took office. And that is because there is so much uncertainty. Consumer sentiment, also another big one that is reflecting that uncertainty. We saw versus January, the outlook that consumers have for the economy, for their finances, for the labor market drop 32%. That is the biggest 3-month decline, steepest 3-month decline since the 1990 recession in January of that year. So it just speaks to the hard data, the hard economic data. We are still in a good place, but the question is what is coming and how quickly could that soft data, that consumer sentiment, impact the hard data, Jules?
Okay, so let's talk about Amazon. That's one stock that we're watching, and shares kind of dipped today. So what's going on there?
Another wild ride today for Amazon. So earlier in the day, there was a story reportedly that Amazon would, in some of the purchases that maybe you or I make, add a line when you check out, and it would tell you how much of the price increase was coming from tariffs. And so the White House, in their press briefing at 8:30 a.m., Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt really called this out and said that this was a hostile move. Very quickly, Amazon confirmed to CBS News that this was something that had been considered, but that this would not be something that they just had decided to go through with, and that's not something that we will see when we check out on Amazon. But it speaks to this larger issue that companies like Amazon, they are going to be impacted by tariffs. And so Amazon's going to report earnings this week. We are definitely very interested to see all sort of the roller coaster aside today, how they message tariffs to their investors and how they think their consumers are going to impact or be impacted by potential price increases.
Yeah, and as we talk about Amazon, UPS says it's planning to cut back on Amazon deliveries. So what does that mean? What's going on there?
So UPS reported earnings today, and this was something that they highlighted and that they had actually announced last quarter. They had decided to cut back on Amazon deliveries to focus on more what they called quality revenue and to improve their profit margins. And so this is resulting in a 20,000 layoff that they plan to do at UPS. So that's kind of isolated to that. But I mean, we are seeing the job market hasn't shown sort of a big drop off yet, but there are some cracks. We actually got job openings today, new numbers on that, and they came in lower than expected. So it does speak to this uncertainty with companies that maybe there is a pause on hiring with all of this uncertainty, Jules.
All right. Thanks for keeping watch, as always. Kelly O'Grady. Kelly, thanks.